In a small town, there was an old house that everyone called the haunted house. The house had dark windows, a broken door, and vines crawling up the walls. People said it was spooky, and no one wanted to go inside. Strange shadows often flickered by the windows at night, and sometimes the faint sound of a piano could be heard. 3 friends, Mia, Jake, and Sam, were curious. They wanted to know the truth about the haunted house. One evening, as the sun went down and the sky turned dark, they gathered at Mia's house. Mia looked at her friends with excitement and said,
"Let's go to the haunted house tonight."
Jake shivered.
Are you sure?
He asked.
What if we see a ghost?
Sam, the bravest of the 3, laughed.
Don't worry. We can bring flashlights and explore.
Mia nodded, feeling a little nervous but excited.
Yes, let's see what's inside. Maybe it's not haunted at all.
With their flashlights in hand, they walked through the quiet streets to the haunted house. The trees around it were tall and dark, casting strange shadows on the ground. The wind made creepy noises, whistling through the broken windows. When they reached the door, it creaked open by itself. Mia's eyes grew wide.
Did you see that?
She whispered.
The door opened by itself.
Jake looked pale.
Maybe we should go back,
he said, glancing around. But Sam took a step forward and pushed the door open wider.
Come on, we have to go in.
Inside, the house was dark and cold. Dust floated in the air, and cobwebs hung from the ceiling like thick curtains. The smell was old and damp, and the floorboards creaked under their feet. Mia shone her flashlight around.
Look at all this stuff,
she said, pointing to strange old furniture covered in white sheets. Jake's light landed on a picture on the wall. It showed a family with serious faces. The father had sharp eyes, and the mother wore a long, dark dress. A chill ran down Jake's spine. They look strange, he whispered. What happened to them? Suddenly, a loud thump came from upstairs. It sounded like someone or something was moving. They froze. Sam's voice shook a little. Maybe it's a ghost, he whispered with a grin, trying to be brave. Jake backed away.
I don't want to see a ghost,
he said, his voice trembling. But Mia took a deep breath and encouraged him.
Come on, we'll be brave together.
They climbed the stairs slowly, each step creaking under their feet. The noise was getting louder. When they reached the top, they saw a door slightly open at the end of a dark hallway. Who's there? Sam called out, his voice echoing in the empty house. No one answered. Mia pushed the door open with her flashlight. Inside, they found an empty room with a large mirror and furniture covered in dusty sheets. Just then, a cold wind blew through the room, and the door behind them slammed shut. Jake screamed.
Let us out. This isn't funny.
Mia ran to the door and pulled on the handle, but it wouldn't budge.
We're trapped,
she cried. Sam looked around and noticed a strange old mirror in the corner. He walked toward it, shining his flashlight on its dusty surface. But as he got closer, he saw something strange, 3 shadowy figures standing behind them in the reflection.
Guys, look,
he whispered, pointing at the mirror. They all looked into the mirror and saw the shadows. Mia gasped, and Jake's knees felt weak. They quickly turned around, but there was nothing there. The room was empty.
Did you see that?
Mia whispered, her voice shaky.
Were those ghosts?
Just then, they heard footsteps outside the room. The footsteps got louder and louder until they stopped right outside the door. They held their breath, too scared to move. Slowly, the handle on the door began to turn. Jake's heart pounded.
I don't want to be here anymore.
He said. Sam quickly spotted a window in the corner of the room.
We can climb out the window.
He said. They rushed to the window, pushed it open, and looked down. It wasn't a long drop, but it was covered in bushes. Mia climbed out first, followed by Sam. Jake hesitated, but Mia reached up and held out her hand.
Come on, Jake, you can do it.
With a deep breath, Jake climbed out, landing safely in the bushes. They ran down the path, away from the haunted house, as fast as they could. When they reached the street, they stopped to catch their breath. That was the scariest thing ever, Jake said, his voice still shaky. Mia looked at her friends, trying to laugh, but the memory of the shadows in the mirror and the footsteps haunted her.
But we did it. We faced our fears.
She said with a nervous smile. Sam nodded, though his face was pale. And we learned something important. Sometimes the things we're most afraid of can be real. They walked home together, feeling both braver and more scared than before. The haunted house was still just a house, but for them it was a place full of mysteries and shadows they would never forget.